Okay, now that we've saved our image, we can move on to the next part, which is to draw a few rectangle shapes around the image to create a more unified look. So the first thing we're going to do is create a new layer. So under Layers, go New Layer. What layers do is they allow you to, literally like a cake, layer different parts of your graphic and separate the different components of it so that you can modify each individually. So we're going to create a layer for each rectangle. We're going to create 3 rectangles in this graphic, to the left side and then underneath. So let's call this just rectangle, and we want it to be a transparent. You don't really need any color tags or anything, and click OK. And now you'll see here on the bottom right hand corner we've got a new layer called rectangle number 1. We don't have anything in the layer yet. We're going to add that right now. What we're going to do is we're going to create 2 rectangles using the rectangle select tool. Click on the rectangle select tool. We want to take a look at the settings here. We're going to check on the feathered edges, and we're going to set the feathered edges for the first rectangle to be 10. So if you see, a little tricky to click in here, but this bar actually is the number of pixel radius here. So we're going to do 10. It's tricky to type in, so be patient with it. And then tab to move on to the next instead of enter should complete it. So 10 for the feathered edges, and let's go ahead and draw a rectangle just at the left top of the L inland. So now that's selected, what I want to do is I want to fill it with a color to make it into a rectangle. And we're going to use the color code from the color palette. So I've just gone ahead and copied that, and now I'm going to use the color options here. This is the foreground color. This is the background color, and I can select either one. It doesn't really matter, but what is important is to set one of either the foreground or the background colors here to the HTML notation A4, C2, A5, and then press tab to see what that color looks like. So it's this sort of light teal. Click OK, and now you can see that that color has been selected in the background. This little arrow here allows you to switch your background and your foreground colors. So I'm actually going to put this in the foreground, and then under Edit, still with my selection there, I have the option to fill with foreground color. So I'll just go ahead and select that, and you can see that you've got a little rectangle there. I'm going to put another rectangle in a new layer just below that, and with a little bit less feathering. So layer, new layer. I'm going to call this rectangle number 2. It's nice that it remembers your layer name. And then I'm going to draw, using my select rectangle tool, another rectangle here. And this time I'm going to set the feathered edges to be a little bit less intense, so just a little bit more subtle, down to 5. And again, Edit, fill with foreground color there. We're going to do one more rectangle, and that's going to sort of act as an underline and go below the text. So using a new layer, you can also use Control-Shift-N. We're going to call this rectangle 3, and then I'm going to draw this rectangle here below. Don't worry if it overlaps the text. We're going to move the text so it's on top of these layers just to make sure. Maybe not quite so big, so you can play around with the sizing here a little bit. Okay, and so we're going to use a new color this time, a wolf gray, so make sure you add the color notation into the background color if you like, or the foreground color. You can see that it actually does save the color notations here. So you want to add in D8, DA, D3, which is also something you can copy from the course instructions. Click OK, and then we're going to go Edit, fill with background color, and we can move it if you will need to using the Move tool, which is the first option there. So if you want to reposition it a little bit. So now we want to move this land text layer above all the other layers. In order to do that, we select it here in the Layers tool, and then we use the arrows to move it up to the top. Save this file, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to create a 3D transformation and a drop shadow.